In the 1960s, a fellow named John F. Kennedy shared with the world his vision and his idea, and that was to put a man on the moon. And at the time, we all got on board with it. Every American, people from around the world, we all got excited. The scientific community, the mathematicians, the future astronauts, even kids. I was just watching Toy Story. And all the kids in the 1950s and 60s got so into this idea of having a man on the moon. And you know what? When John F. Kennedy did that, he didn't know how they were going to do it. He didn't know exactly when. He said at the end of the decade, that was sort of the big vision that he'd given. And he didn't even know who that person actually would be. And so when astronauts actually did it in 1969, they actually had a very famous picture from the moon of our blue planet. And they called that the MoonShot. It's one of the most famous pictures. You've probably all seen it. It's iconic. And it got me thinking, what could we do to set ourselves up with an abundance mindset for this district and beyond the district, to all the potential members that might join our district during this coming few years? What could we do to set a tone and figure out what it is that we want to do? What would our moonshot look like? So I'd like to take a moment and just share that with you. Imagine if every member of Toastmasters was in a thriving club. Imagine if that club had enough members that it was really fun and vibrant and they really were engaged and had a good time with it. Imagine what would happen then. And imagine if every club and every speech and every learning, because that's what we're here for, is learning and growing, was celebrated in a safe space where people could be confident to try things out and to push themselves beyond what they even thought was possible. So I'm sure every one of you have had a Toastmasters experience so far where you did something beyond what you thought you were capable of. Let's see a show of hands where you've pushed yourselves. Yeah, that's pretty much most of the room, right? Okay. And imagine if we have all the leadership roles filled in the district. Imagine that would be over 1,000 leadership opportunities. And how many of you are up for having a leadership opportunity this coming year? Let's see a show of hands. Exactly. This is why you're here right now. Imagine what that'll be like for all the people that are part of our district and in those leadership roles. And one of the things I was noticing is that in some clubs and in some areas, it seems like there's one person or two people that kind of do all the heavy lifting. Well, what if we had everybody working together, co-creating the trainings, co-creating the conferences and all of the workshops and helping each other to really define what does our club what's it going to look like this time next year, what's going to look like in 5 years' time, how are we going to be, and what do we need to get done, and that everybody all pulls together based on, that you don't have one person doing all the work. You actually have everybody working from their passion, from what they enjoy doing, from their strengths, and really pushing themselves and growing together. So we'll network together, we'll grow together. And then it got me thinking, because Toastmasters in our district isn't really just about Toastmasters. Yes, it's about the member experience, but really it's about making a difference in the world. And there's a lot of people that are not currently Toastmasters in British Columbia and in the Yukon, which is our district. What if there was 1% of all of the world that actually became a Toastmaster? Could you imagine the amount of lives that would be transformed if every single one of us got to the point where in our communication we felt so much courage to be able to give our message and to communicate properly and to have the courage, to have the leadership and the confidence in what we were trying to convey and say, how much Toastmasters would change the world. Are you in with me?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are you in with me? Yeah.
Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words,